Hi guys!
Hello.
Welcome to the Mai
And John.
Podcast.
Or John and Mai.
I think it's better if I call it Mai and John. I think Mai should be first. Anyways, we decided to call it the Mai and John Podcast just because that's what we came up with. Who knows? We might be changed the name, but for now, it will be a weekly sharing of us coming on to talk about many different topics.
Yep, I think so. Well, at least a few.
Like?
We're definitely going to talk about life, marriage, real estate, property management. Pretty much everything that is relevant to us, and hopefully will be relevant to you guys. And we just wanted to be able to share some of our insights with everyone.
I was just going to ask that. Why are we doing this anyway?
Well, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, we have a lot of interesting things to say. We have a lot of absolutely very interesting conversations, and we just want to be able to share that with everybody and see how that goes.
Yeah, I guess, and get into the glimpse of the way that we think, right? Because we are a couple, so we're a married couple, husband and wife, but we also build a business together. I know, right? And so we work very closely together, and we're also raising two young children. One's 4 years old and one's 8 years old. So I find we're wearing many different hats, mm-hmm. and we are very different individuals. We think very different. Yeah, very different. I'm gonna stress that. We're very different, and we think very differently, and we take action very differently. So even just learning how to work together from a business perspective, and learning how to handle or deal with each other in terms of our relationships, and learning how to be parents as well too. So there's a lot of things that goes on, and sometimes I find that we can kind of be in our own thoughts, but I just kind of thought, like, if we set aside weekly a time where we're just having a conversation, mm-hmm. maybe we can learn more about each other.
Absolutely.
We also want to invite different guests into our show so that perhaps we can learn from our guests as well too. We don't have all the answers, and we always love to learn from other individuals as well too. I feel like this will be a fun journey, right? Mm-hmm. And even if at the end of the day, if no one's watching or listening, that's okay too, because I guess we'll have something to look back and learn from each other.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
That's a great question.
Okay, we're definitely not, we didn't came to the show, we didn't come to record this podcast with like a topic in mind, a format or a script, which is very unlike me, probably more like John. I usually come to any type of project or anything like that with like this whole theme, what I'm gonna say, the entire format, very structured. Mm-hmm. But recently we kind of, had a community of other people that are aspiring podcasters as well as experienced podcaster. And, sometimes if we are waiting for things to be perfect, we might never start. Yeah. So we figure we just want to, start. I've done a podcast 2 years ago, actually, just to prove to myself that anyone can do a podcast. I did it. And it was very structured, and it has a format where I was inviting guests on, and I was interviewing the guests. I know some of you have watched it. Thank you so much for all your support. And some of you have shared your comments and also feedback, which is great. Since after, I believe, more than 10 episodes, I decided to stop because that was an experience for me to really learn what I want to do, mm-hmm. as a podcast. And then, of course, there's a lot of things that has happened, and that was during COVID too. But now I really wanted to get back to podcasting, but I just know that me and John, we have so much fun. Like, we have a lot of fun conversations, and I love picking on John as well as picking his brains. And so I know, but it took a while for me to convince John to come on to be a co-host with me. So what made you decide to say yes this time?
Well, we started one of the things was we had started a sort of a teaching and web series about short-term rentals. And I was a little bit shy, a little bit nervous, a little bit scared to get it done. But after the very first episode, I sort of felt this spark kind of ignite, and I realized that I've sort of been hiding in a shell, in my own little shell, in my own little world, and living this very comfortable life where I haven't been really pushing my comfort level or boundaries, and that spark sort of ignited, and I felt the need to really get up in front of the camera again, just to share some of my experiences in life. Because rewind, when Mai and I actually first met, we met doing door-to-door sales, and at that point I was one of sort of the leaders in the office, and I ended up going to open up and manage my own office. We'll get more into that another time, but I used to present quite a bit, and I used to talk in front of crowds quite a bit, and I found this sort of passion and joy out of public speaking. And while this is definitely not talking in front of a big crowd of people, it's a little bit different, but just being able to share my knowledge and experience is something that I think this vessel will allow me to do, and I think that I'm just curious to see where this goes.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that, actually. I just thought maybe after me nagging and say, oh, I need a co-host, I want someone to do this with, that you'll just come on.
Well, I mean, if you want to put me on the spot like that, that's a little bit of what happened too.
Well, yeah. Well, but no, it's nice. It's nice to hear. It's nice to hear you share that, because I sometimes, we have certain skills that we really enjoy in the past, and if it's been years since we've done it, right, then sometimes we might get shy at getting started again. But once you have that opportunity to get started and you see that you enjoy it, so that's great. So for anyone out there who have ever thought about starting a podcast and things, think it needs to be perfect. It doesn't. Look at us. We're just starting, and hopefully you can go along the journey with us. And generally, I think for this time, we might have some theme. We might come with some ideas, but we want it to be just kind of like candid conversations, just kind of like in the moment. Whatever comes to our mind for the week that we want to share about. So I'm thinking, it's almost the end of January, right? It's January 25th. And so we are close to 1 month into the new year, 2023. Maybe we can talk about how our new year's been, what's new, anything else on your mind?
Typically, I think something that has been on my mind is, typically a lot of people have fitness goals, and they usually start at the beginning of the year. Usually January is the beginning. From the very first day, you get a lot of people who have these fitness goals and stuff like that. And I wanted to share because, last year we went on this sort of journey, and we decided to start at the end of the year. So we joined up at the local LA Fitness, and I went in there sort of I like to give the analogy of, when I went into the gym, it was probably at my heaviest and fattest point, and it's like it's like going into a grocery store when you're hungry. You try to sort of want to try to avoid that, but we went and joined the gym when I was at my heaviest and fattest point at the end of 2021.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, listen, if we've really got these goals to hit, with our fitness, then why not start now? And, at least we will begin 2022 with this, with this sort of a head start. And we hired fitness trainers and we did a bunch of personal training where we were going a couple times, with personal trainers every week. And then we would go on our own every couple weeks or every couple days. And that had happened for a year. And while I went in there, I remember going in there thinking that I'd hire this personal trainer, and after like 3 or 6 months, I'm gonna lose 100 pounds. I'm gonna look completely different, and this summer is gonna be incredible. I'm gonna have this crazy beach body. And a year had passed, and it was interesting to see, because I started to really I got definitely a lot stronger. My core got a lot stronger. I can lift a lot heavier than I probably have ever lifted, but I actually didn't lose a single pound. So my weight in the beginning of or at the end of 2021, beginning of 2022, I was sitting at about 200 and between 270 to 75 pounds. And at the beginning of January, I was still at about 270 pounds, but just a lot stronger. I mind you, I didn't really change my diet much. Although I do have, I'm making healthier choices and stuff like that, but I didn't change it that much in terms of, measuring what I'm putting in into my body and stuff like that. But anyways, fast forward, we decided that, we needed to change, and we have a few friends that we would constantly, for me, I would constantly watch their progress on social media and stuff like that, and that were gaining incredible results. And I kept seeing and hearing about this gym called F45, and so we decided to make the switch, and Mai and I just became members after doing this like 2-week free period and stuff like that. And we're sort of on this not, I wouldn't say a new journey, but it's sort of a different path on the same journey of looking for a healthier, stronger, and better us. And now, initially when we had decided to sign up, we were contemplating which one of the two of us was going to sign up, because we felt like it was it's not the most expensive. It's definitely a lot cheaper than personal training, but it was for us to go from paying our $40 a month gym memberships to a couple $100 a month for F45. It was a change, but I think we got one day where I had signed up, and finally the second day we just decided we'll both go through it. I think we finally gotten to now being able to work out. We're actually working out together, which is really fun, and I'm excited to kind of share our progress and results with everybody as well. That was on the top of my mind. There was nothing specific there, but I just.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess that's basically what's kind of like our big goal for January. But since you mentioned your story, it is interesting, because you know what? It's true. I do. When we first joined the gym in December 26th, and you hire a personal trainer, and we're talking about goals, I'm like, imagine my husband by by June is the 6-pack, and beach beach perfect body, and I imagine myself the same too. We're gonna be like this new hot couple no one's gonna recognize. But I mean, we look the same. However, I feel like inside we are a lot stronger. So it's a great reminder for me that sometimes these vanity goals are great. They keep you motivated, they get you started. But at the end of the day, even if you don't get there, because you already developed the habits, right? Because you kind of force yourself to kind of like go in and out, day in, day out, and do those habits. And before you know it, whether or not you look like the way you envision, it doesn't really matter, because you're still feeling better. You're still feeling great. You feel stronger. You feel like you're doing something positive. And it also adds to your confidence, because you feel like, here's something that I was able to keep at. It's not something that I try and keep on failing at, right? Compared to like these fat diets. Because I feel like, you have your own weight journey, your own struggle, your own journey. I have my own weight journey as well. And I've tried so many different fat diets in the past as well too. And it's always been like, you lose a lot of weight and then you kind of gain it back. And then 6 months later, you actually weigh more. Right? But at least now I feel, and I haven't been to the gym for like, I would say over all the years we've known each other.
Last year,
So now I feel like I have to have a workout routine, right? And so I feel like if I'm not working out 3 to 4 times a week, then it feels weird. It's like something that's missing out of my life.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely.
Yeah, so it just is a reminder of how important it is to kind of slowly work on these daily habits. And I think for us, we knew that when we have great health and we're strong physically, it also improves us mentally, and so we needed to start somewhere. I'm sure we had a lot of goals. I personally had a lot of goals for 2022 back then, but our fitness was our number one, and so we focused on that, and then that carried on. So I guess this January, we've been able to maintain that, and now we have a even more, I wouldn't say vigorous, but I feel like more impactful routine, because I know after my personal training, I was just going in and kind of like going on the treadmill with my phone, catching up on my social media, and I'm just kind of like pedaling for 30 minutes. And I'm working out, but not really that hard.
Yeah.
And when I went to F45, it's just a 45 minutes workout, but man, you're sweating buckets after it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, they don't pay me to promote them at all, but it's a great experience so far. So that's good.
I feel like for me, it was at the gym working with the trainer, twice a week, and then I'd go in once or twice on my own. With the trainer, it was great. The only issue was that at the beginning of the year versus the end of the year of working with the trainer, at the beginning, I was very fragile. I feel like I was very fragile. So I would tell my trainer that, I've had experience. I know how to push and move weight. I'm absolutely no, experienced, guru with working out and stuff like that. But I know, structure. I know form. I've been fortunate that I have a lot of, my close circle of friends who are, involved in the fitness industry, have definitely taught me a lot. So going into it at the beginning, the trainer was very, he treated me like I was an old guy, and he was very gentle with me, but I don't think he realized sort of, I guess because my physical appearance had not changed that much. By the end of the year, he was still treating me like I was this old fragile man. And my sort of challenge to him toward the end of it was just really like, now you gotta push me. Like, it's not, I'm not that fragile a man I was a year ago. So I worked out with him, and I found that the problem is that he kind of went through the motions, similar to how Mai was explaining how she works out. He was training me to kind of just go through the motions, and he'd push me a little bit, but definitely not to the level that I think I can push myself, and maybe some other more seasoned trainers would be able to have pushed me. So it is nice now that with F45, I kind of go in there, and I think because I'm more tough on myself mentally and physically now, because I have my sort of foot on the accelerator, and I can choose whether to if I want to give it more gas, I can give it more gas, and if I want to empty the tank, I'm going to empty the tank. And I just kind of love the freedom of being able to do that while going in there and not really having to think, because the program is already set up for us, the circuits and the workouts and all that stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We just have to go in and just do our thing.
So you're kind of like getting the most out of, like, you're burning the most calories out of a shorter period of time, right? Because otherwise we'd be at the gym.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have heard it. It's a growing business. It's a growing fitness franchise backed up by a few, big names. But anyways, we're not talking about that.
Yeah, because we're not sponsored by F45.
Maybe they should give us a free membership, okay?
Yeah.
F45 Niagara Falls. Well, and another thing is, I actually wanted to try yoga, but there weren't many that was available or opened when we moved here. Mm-hmm. We moved from Toronto about a year and a half ago to Niagara Falls. So we're we had to work with what we have. And so thank goodness there is now 5 minutes from us is the gym opened. And so so we look forward to continue on that fitness journey. Hopefully I'll get my beach body by June. We'll see. Yes. So what else? So that's kind of like on our personal level. How about business? How are things going in business, you say, as of this January 2023? January 2023.
In our business, so we run a sort of property management business, and I say that very loosely because technically speaking, we're not actually managing properties. We are technically hired on from property owners and investors who need us to sort of co-host their homes. And so the business model that we have is we sort of manage online profiles and properties for these homeowners, and we make sure that we coordinate everything with guests and stuff like that. And again, we'll kind of probably dive a little bit more deeper into that another time. But regarding your question, it has been an interesting, it's sort of fourth quarter and first quarter. And the fourth quarter, I would say, because they sort of tie in together, like, the business never kind of stops for us. So it was an interesting end of the year and beginning of the year, because the end of the year was a little bit nuts with the markets and what have you. We have not seen inflation and interest rates go up as many times and as high as they've gone since I can sort of remember. I haven't seen inflation like this, even back to the last sort of recession that we had back in 2008. That recession was probably, I think, because we were doing sales.
Yeah.
We were in sort of a recession-proof business. Like, that is when every company, like, if you're ever in a situation where you can, you're lost with what to do in a recession, if you can do sales is the one sort of area that is always going to be in high demand. So at that point, we were in sales, and we were going crazy because all the companies that contracted us just needed us to produce. So, they paid us more for getting more sales, and it just was an incredible sort of working relationship, and things were going really well for us. So that was right around we bought our first house, I think, that time too.
Yeah, you mean in London?
Yeah, in London.
In London, Ontario. That will be a different story.
Yeah. But it was a different time. So now we're in a little bit of a different position because, fast forward, that's 15 years ish later. We've got a family. We bought a pretty expensive home, and now we own a few homes. And for some strange reason, we decided not to lock in our rates last year or the last 2 years, and we decided to go with variable rates. So we're kind of feeling it all over and what have you. But going back to sort of your question of how it ties in with our business, the end of last year was a crazy time because all these rates are starting to go through the roof, and in our industry, our sales technically is to find homeowners and investors and get them to work with us as their managers. And we started to feel it was strange because we started to get this sort of boom of properties and property owners who wanted to work with us. And on the surface, it was incredible because we got all these new properties to manage, and we got all this new business and stuff like that. But on the other side of things, people are starting to travel a lot more outside of Canada. People are, I guess our target market in the short-term business with regards to renters are now being a little bit more reserved or conservative with how they're spending. So we got all these new properties, and we've got this surplus of properties. But then all of a sudden, on the other end, we can't find people to rent our properties.
Yeah.
We've got all these vacant properties just kind of sitting there and just sort of collecting dust. And
occupancy really plummeted, right? Occupancy level really plummeted. And I mean, at first we were just looking at different pricing strategy because it was the same time that we actually took a course. And we invested in new software, pricing, dynamic software. Yeah. We invested because, we knew that in certain times, like when things are going tough, it's not the time to kind of take away things, but we need to invest in different solutions. So we try many different things, but we also have kind of attended workshops and webinars where we listen to other experts and pros in the industry, and overall the entire industry as a whole. The occupancy level has really gone down due to many different things like John mentioned, right? Yeah. It was the end of COVID, people are traveling outside of the country. But at the same time, there were also stricter rules that are being implemented. So a lot of the cities are now waiting on government to make a decision. Do they allow you to do short-term rentals? Are they going to give you a permit? And that kind of impact a lot of the properties. Another thing that impact is also in terms of, because a lot of people that have houses that wanted to be able to sell. So if you bought a house and you wanted to flip but with the interest rates, the prices have gone down so much, they decided, no, I'm just going to hold on to the house. But they don't want to deal with long-term renters. So now they are going into the short term. And so you get this whole boom, this apparently last year, the level of inventory that was coming onto Airbnb kind of outweighs the demand. So when you have more supply than demand, then what happens? It gets competitive. The pricing has to be lower. So now all these properties are competing on prices, based on prices. And if you're not willing to lower down your price, because you're like, well, this is going to be the same as if I rented out long term, but I have to pay, the water bill, hydro, I'm furnishing the place, and, internet. And these are the things. So then a lot of owners might be like, well, I don't want to reduce the price too much as well. And because of that, they might not get the type of occupancy that they've seen in the past years as well too. So yeah, we noticed that. But from what I know, and I guess from what I'm hearing from other experts, their predictions is that when you get an influx of people getting into a certain market, right, an influx of players, you're gonna also get people who think, this is a gold mine, and then reality hits, or they realize that, it's a lot more work than they care to do. And it takes a lot of work to be a good host, and that everything you do impact. It's just the way you communicate, the way you handle issues that arises, and maybe they feel it's not even worth it for them to continue to do short-term rental. And because of that, eventually what's going to happen is the inventory, people are going to get out of the space, which means the inventory is going to go down. And you have, let's say, 10% of inventory going down, and then you now have an increase. So maybe if inflation start to kind of like plateau out, or people are now willing to spend a little bit more. So maybe there's a higher demand for people that are traveling within this year. So then when that kind of like combined together, then the people who are willing to stay the course, who are willing to stick it through,
and are willing to invest and become, great hosts. Then
they'll be able to see, I guess they'll be able to collect, the profits and the benefits. So if we have anyone who are hosts or any of our clients, our suggestions is that you guys kind of hang in there, but focus on being like great hosts, right? Focus on making sure not only is your property equipped, it's cleaned, it's well, designed. It doesn't have to be luxurious. It's just, clean is most important, and it has all the basic necessities, but also that, that you communicate. If you absolutely don't have the time, then make sure you get someone to be a co-host or a manager, help you support. But if you have the time, make sure you're always communicating with the guests, and especially when a problem arises, that you're kind of staying on top of that. So I guess that's for our short-term business. We also kind of did a rebrand. So we used to be called the Lim Management Group, but we felt it's kind of like so general.
Yeah, very general. That will still, I think we're still going to have that operating as a business.
Yes. We're keeping that for other purposes.
But we are going to sort of rebrand our short-term rental company.
Yeah.
And are we going to do a reveal right now, or is that something we're doing right now?
Well, we're just talking.
We didn't talk about that. We don't talk about that. I'm just kidding.
I don't have a plan for it, but we haven't even promoted or anything. It's still our company is very boutique. Basically, me and John run the business. A lot of it now, John is more of the hands-on operations. We also have a team of local managers like Andy and Fu, and we have a really big team of cleaners. I think that's the biggest that we have is cleaners in Mississauga, Toronto, and Niagara Falls, and even Vaughan and Krista Beach,
and Blue Mountain,
yes,
and Kitchener, Scarborough.
Yeah, it's kind of like everywhere.
We're all over the place now.
But we're still very boutique, so which means we have our hands on everything. We're not like those massive company where you can't reach us. It's 9 to 5, but it's 11 p.m. and you need to call us. Sure, you can text or call us.
Yeah, text, please.
But anyways, when talking about the reveal, so we decided, to name the company something different so that it's more easy to and kind of like more
relevant.
More relevant. Yeah. So we call it the Short Stays International.
Yes.
Short Stay International. Yay. Well, we call it international because we're hoping to expand,
Yes. That's our next big move. We'll be hosting, in other countries and other time zones and
Ideally, like where would
other
you
experiences.
where would you if you had a property like a couple of dream property where you're the owner and you're renting it out short term, what locations would you like?
Well, that's a great question. I think, I would just like to host everywhere that I could travel. But realistically, if I could choose one or two off the top of my head, I would love to have somewhere in the Caribbean, or let's say, South or Central America-ish, and somewhere, on the beach. I would love to have a place in I'd love to have a place in Costa Rica.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, that would be.
We have that place definitely has a special place, or that country has a special place in our heart, and I'd love to have a place maybe in Costa Rica, something like that.
Yeah, without doing research. If
I
I put, just on the top, that's kind of like dreaming, right? Then that's where I do. But of course, when you actually go down to the nitty bit of it, we have to figure out, does it even make sense?
Yeah.
Can we make money there?
Yeah, because it's a business. It's about the numbers for sure.
Does the numbers work?
But to that point, like Costa Rica, it's got surfing, it's got beaches, it's got jungle, it's got it's a very safe and clean country, and it kind of ticks a lot of those boxes, and
Great. Well, I actually happen to know someone. She's someone who actually is a Canadian who decided to, before she even retired, she seemed young to me, that moved to Costa Rica on Facebook. And she also have a property rental, which now, since you mentioned that, maybe one of our conversation next, I have to invite her and bring her on to ask her about her experience, kind of like moving her entire family to Costa Rica and also now owning a property to rent it out, right? For me, ideally, beside Costa Rica, I would love Hawaii. However, I've never even been to Hawaii. I know this couple years, I've seen a lot of friends that have been traveling to Hawaii, and from their videos and photos, looks amazing. And I know it's a great place. There's a lot of tourists. I guess any place where you get a lot of tourists would be great.
Sure.
Investments, it depends how much you can get it for. But yeah, ideally, I would have to say, for me, down south. But I'm surprised you didn't say anything in, how about BC or Alberta, because you like snowboarding.
Yeah, I would love to have. I just find that Canadian real estate is so crazy right now. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine just I definitely don't I would love to have a place in Banff
Whistler?
or Whistler, but I know those types of places are. I don't think you can actually own in Banff. I think you can only rent there. I don't know all the regulations and laws and stuff like that, but I would love to have a place there. Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like Western Canada for us, because of the way winters are, they're short but they're long, but they're short but they're long, are so I don't know. I just, off the top of my head, when I think about
Vacation.
a place that I want to rent and vacation, I just winter is not something that when I'm living in winter, I don't want a vacation in winter. But that being said, if we can live somewhere warm, then I would absolutely love to vacation to winter.
Yeah, so we just have to put it out there, right? So maybe one day, we'll have a place in Costa Rica. Yeah. And if you guys are listening or watching and have other ideas where it is, great price for the location, give us a tip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let us know. Yes. What else? What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I think we gotta get going though soon. We gotta get the kids soon.
Oh yeah, it is about so almost close to 3, and our kids are off at like about 3:19, 3:15.
Yeah.
So I find the time actually passes by so quick when you take them to school by 9 and then they're done around 3 something. And generally, I know a lot of parents do put their kids into after school programs, right? We try, but the after school program was full, but we made it work anyways. And so now we get to spend a lot of time with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, guys, I hope you enjoy listening to us kind of talk from the top of our head about various different topics that is kind of like relatable to what's going on in our life. And if there's anything that you want to comment or give us feedback, we welcome them all. We appreciate you watching or listening from wherever you are. Anything else you want to say before we leave?
Just check out our new, we'll keep you posted, but our new website will be Short Stays INTL, short for international, shortstaysintl.com, which will be launching
soon in a couple months.
few weeks or months. But keep an eye out, and if you guys are looking for a place to stay, and we can sort of accommodate those stays, then hit us up. And if you are a property owner who needs help with managing your property or managing your getting a co-host to come manage your online profile, give us a shout and check us out. And if you have any questions about
anything,
property management, real estate, parenting,
relationships,
all that good stuff,
give us a shout.
Yeah.
And we'll be sharing our contact information. And also, if you have any topic that you are interested to hear us discuss or bring on guests to have a conversation about, let us know as well too. We are most of the time an open book. We like to share everything. Mm-hmm. And so we'd be more than happy to. So once again, have